Hi everyone. So today we'll be working on the next topic under chapter 5, and that is going to be about linear functions and their graphs. So for this particular lessons, we are going to be using intercepts to graph linear equations. We look for the slope and also use the slope and intercept to graph the line. How we will be able to graph horizontal and vertical lines, and using slope to model slope and y-intercept to model data, and also how we can interpret slope as a rate of change. So when we have linear equations, the most typical form that we have is what we call as the standard form. So that is when you have ax plus by equals c. Okay, so this is a linear equation in two variables. The standard form, you will notice that both x and y with their coefficients are on one side of the equation, while the constant is on the other side. So this is what you call as the standard form of the linear equations. Now, when you are graphing a line that is written in standard form, the easiest way to do that is to use the intercepts. So when we talk about intercepts, we use the value of 0 for one of the variables, and then we solve for the other variable. So for example, if we're looking for the x-intercept, we want to put y as 0, and then we solve for the value of x. And so that is 1 point of the line. Remember that when you have a line, you need 2 points to be able to create a line. So whenever you are working with the intercept, specific intercept, so this is a point found on the axis. So x-intercept, you have to make sure that y is 0. If you're looking for the y-intercept, so the opposite variable, which is x, will be 0. So let's show you how to work it out with graphing a linear equation using the intercepts. So if you're going to take a look here, we have the equation 3x plus 2y equals 6. So if we're going to be using our intercepts, so let's have the x-intercept. To solve for the x-intercept, we want y to be equal to 0. So this is going to be 0. So 2 times 0 is going to be nothing. So we will have 3x is equal to 6. And to solve for x, we divide by 3. And therefore, x is equal to 2. Therefore, we have a point where x is equal to 2. And again, the y value that we have is a 0. So that is 1 point, 2, 0. And that point is going to be this point over here. Okay, and then now let's use the y-intercept. Oops, sorry, my bad. And now let's have the other one. Let's solve for the y-intercept. Okay, so if the y-intercept, the x value now is 0. Okay, so imagine this is 0, so 3 times 0 is nothing. So you will have a 2y is equal to 6. Solving for y, we divide by 2, and so we have y is equal to 3. So the point, when x is 0, the y value is at 3. So we will have x is 0, y value is 3. So it's going to be here. 1 point over here, and then the other point is at 2, 0. It's going to be here. And so the line, oops, sorry, my bad. Where is the other? 3, 0. It's over here. Okay. So once you connect those 2 points, then that is the line that we will have. Okay. So when we talk about slope, we are looking at, typically what you remember is the rise over run. So the reason why it's easily remembered as rise over run is because rise represents the change in y. So you get the differences between the y values of the 2 points. Run, that is the movement horizontally. So that's the change in the x values. So when you are working with the rise over run, okay, so you will see that the formula will always be the differences between the y values over the differences of the x values. Okay, so when you have 2 points, just declare which one is point 1. So let's say this is your point number 1, and this is your point number 2. So whatever is the subscript for each of the point, that's the representation for their x and y values. All right, so let's take a look here. Find the slope of the line passing through the pair of points negative 3, 1 and negative 2, 4. Okay, well, in this case, we don't need to solve for an equation. It's just asking us for the slope. Okay, so what we do is we identify those points. So we have -3, -1. It's going to be over here, this point here, this over here. And now we have a second point, which is -2, 4, which is going to be this one over here. Okay, so when we have 2 points of the line, whenever we're looking for the slope, all we need to do is look for the rise over run. Okay, so remember, slope is rise over run. So let's take a look here. From this point over here, this is the -3, 1, -3, -1. From here, how do we move to go to the next point? Do we go up or do we go down? Well, going to this next point, we gotta go up. By how much? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so because we're going up, that is a +5. Okay, now the run is the movement horizontally. So from here, how do we go to the point? Do we go left or do we go to the right? We need to go to the right. So in this case, we jump 1 to the right. Okay, and so that is going to the right. That's a +1. And so now that we have the rise over 1, which is +5 over +1, so the slope of this line is actually equal to 5. So that is how we use the idea of rise over run to identify the slope of any given line. Now you can see here, we didn't have the line itself, but basically, okay, that line, we identify those 2 points. And so we just count how many times we go up or down, that's our rise, and then left or right, that's our run. Okay, so remember, if it is going up, it's positive if it is going up or going to the right. It is a negative value if it is going down and going to the left. All right, so earlier we have seen the first linear equation, which is the standard form. Okay, so remember when we talked about standard form is when you have a number x plus a number y is equal to c. So you can see that x and y are on both sides of the equation. Now the most popular of them is what we call as the slope-intercept form. And I'm pretty sure you have had this either in middle school or early in Algebra 1, wherein you always say y is equal to mx plus b. Okay, the reason why it's called the slope-intercept form is because you can easily graph the line because you are given the slope and also the y-intercept. Okay, so pretty much this will give you an idea of how you will be writing your equation of the line, depending on what information you are given. You are given the slope of the line and also the y-intercept. So with symbols, okay, m is our slope, okay, and then b is our y-intercept, okay. So that is how we will be working with the slope-intercept form. So for example, here in this case, y is equal to 2x minus 4. You have a slope of 2, meaning you go 2 up and then 1 to the right. And then your y-intercept is at -4, meaning on your y-axis, you have a point at -4. That's what it means. So similar here, you have f of x is equal to 1 over 2, x plus 2, meaning your slope is 1 over 2, which means you go 1 up and then 2 to the right, okay? And then your point, the first point of your graph will be at +2 over here on your y-axis, okay? So slope-intercept form actually is one of the easiest way to do your graph for a line. Why? Because all you need to do, remember, you need 2 points to create a line, okay? Now, I know this is like a lot of words in here, but let me just give you the short way to remember that, okay? So you need 2 points to create a line. Point number 1 will always be the y-intercept, okay? That will always be on the y-axis. And how do you know which one it is? So when you have your y equals mx plus b, this is the value of your b, okay? This is the b, all right? Now, again, we need 2 points. So how do we find the second point of the line? Well, to find the second point, point number 2 can be located by using the slope. Use the slope, okay? Which means from this given point, you move using your rise over run so that you can find the next point, all right? And now that you have your 2 points, you can simply connect them and then graph. So let's have this example, okay? So we have the linear function y is equal to 2 over 3x plus 2, and we have to graph it using the slope-intercept form, okay? From the slope-intercept form. So again, point number 1 is always the y-intercept, okay? And according to this, our y-intercept is here, this one, positive 2, okay? So we already know that there is a point on the y-axis at 2, so it's going to be this part here. There's a point there, given, okay? You need a second point. So we need a second point, and how do we do that? So point number 2, we use the slope, okay? Use slope. We're not going to graph 2 over 3. We use the slope. How do we do that? Well, the slope is 2 over 3, which means you have to go 2 up and then 3 to the right from the given point, okay? So we go 2 up from here. So we go 1, 2, and then we go 3 to the right. 1, 2, 3. Therefore, we have a second point over here. Okay, and now that we have 2 points, we can simply connect them, and this is our graph. Okay, so as I have mentioned, working with the slope-intercept form is the easiest way to graph because you already have 1 point, which is the y-intercept, and you just use the slope to find the next point simply by following the rise over run value of your slope. All right, so thank you.